Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of the media. I'm hosting Kelly. So, with the Vegas Golden Knights, they've had clean over 6 seasons. The Vegas Golden Knights have undoubtedly been one of the best teams in hockey year after year after year. They have had players, they've had superstars like Jack Eichel, like Mark Stone, like Alex Transit. There have been players who have acquired via trade that have turned into box office home run flat big gold nights like Taylor Stevenson, like Alex Martinez, like Joe Theodore, who acquired in trade at the expansion draft. But despite all of that, there are certain players on the Vegas Golden Knights that don't get enough credit. There's some players on the Vegas Golden Knights who don't get enough respect in the NHL. And one player that the Vegas Golden Knights acquired in year one, a player that the Vegas Golden Knights ended up acquiring in the 2017 NHL offseason, a little bit after the NHL expansion draft, was this guy right here, and that is Keegan Kolesar, number 55 from the Vegas Golden Knights, the guy who was drafted 69th overall in the 2015 NHL draft by Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, when it comes to Keegan Kolesar, before I establish what his role is, before I present to you what his value is with the Vegas Golden Knights, the reason why Keegan Kolesar is so important that I need to make an entire episode about Keegan Kolesar, I need to give you some context. I need to give you what he has done already leading up to being in the NHL. So Keegan Kolesar, who is from Winnipeg, Manitoba, the 25-year-old with the Vegas Golden Knights, the guy who currently is entering year number 4 as a professional hockey player in the NHL. He got his start playing in the Western Hockey League for the Seattle Thunderbirds. As a matter of fact, he played 5 seasons in the WHL with the Seattle Thunderbirds. Year 1 was in 2013. He only played in 3 games that year, registered 0 points, but that was his first taste, a little small cup of coffee. The reason why is because he played 52 games for the Winnipeg Thrashers, which is a midget AAA team out there in Canada. And those 52 games, he actually had 45 points that year, with 24 of them being goals in that 2013 season before getting promoted to the WHL. Now, in his first full season in the WHL, 69 games, nice, he had 2 goals and only 10 points. Now, 47 penalty minutes is going to be an establishing theme with Keegan Kolesar. His penalty minutes is going to be a positive, is going to be something that is a notable addition to Keegan Kolesar. He is someone who is not afraid to drop the gloves. Keegan Kolesar has also been well known for standing up for teammates. If there's something that is done wrong to one of his teammates on the ice, you bet Keegan Kolesar, he is going to be the one to step in. He will be someone who will defend his teammates on the ice. Something that I've always said in hockey is a valuable asset. It's not a negative, it's a positive when you find a teammate, when you find someone in the locker room that will go to bat for you in hockey. So in that 2014 season, like I said, he had played, like you said, 10 points with Seattle. The following year is when he had a little bit of a breakout year. In 2015, the year before he got drafted by the Columbus Blue Jackets, he had 64 games played, 19 goals, 38 points, and 85 penalty minutes with the Seattle Thunderbirds. And after being drafted in the 3rd round by the Columbus Blue Jackets, he followed that up with a 2015-2016 campaign where he was in 80 games that year for Seattle, had 37 goals, 39 points, and assists, and he had 76 points with 115 penalty minutes for Seattle in the 2015-2016 season. So for someone like Keegan Kolesar to have 115 penalty minutes, a plus 15, and 76 points, he had a stellar 2015-2016 campaign the year after being drafted in the third round by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, his final year playing in the WHL, his final season playing junior hockey before eventually getting promoted and joining the Vegas Golden Knights via a trade the offseason afterwards, this is where you're really going to see where his value was. His final season playing junior hockey, 73 games played. He had 38 goals, 53 assists, 91 points, a plus 40, and 138 penalty minutes in Seattle. So once again, it really established the point here, that final season playing in Seattle, the fact that he had 91 points and 138 penalty minutes brings home the fact that he could play offensively just as well as he could play defensively. He was good on both ends out there in Seattle, so that wasn't the problem. Now, in that 2017 NHL offseason, the Vegas Golden Knights are being established. They are being organized as a unit. And George McPhee went out and made a move. So in that 2017 offseason, the Vegas Golden Knights traded their second-round pick to the Columbus Blue Jackets, which ended up being Alexei Texier, and they traded him to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and in return, they got Keegan Kolesar. So Keegan Kolesar joining the Vegas Golden Knights organization for year one. Let's see how he did. So he had a short 20-game stint in the ECHL. He played for the Quad City Mallards of the ECHL, 9 goals, 16 points in 20 games, only 10 penalty minutes, which is surprising considering the ECHL used to be a bunch of enforcers. The ECHL was well known back in the 2000s, early 2010s, as where you had a bunch of fighters in their league. So only 10 penalty minutes in 20 ECHL games, but 9 goals and 16 points. So he was scoring goals in the ECHL. He was putting up offensive numbers in the ECHL. He gets to the AHL and only 5 goals, 8 assists, only a +2, and 46 penalty minutes in 47 games for the Chicago Wolves. So with the Chicago Wolves in their inaugural season as their AHL affiliate of the Vegas Golden Knights, it's just interesting how 6 goals, 14 points in 47 games. So he didn't have excellent numbers. You know, it wasn't outstanding, right off the page numbers in the AHL, but it was establishing a stat line. That 2017-2018 season is his first season playing professional hockey. There's going to be a learning curve whenever you jump from junior to professional. So how did Keegan Kolesar do in year 2 with the Vegas Golden Knights organization? How did he improve? How did he get better with the Vegas Golden Knights? Well, I'm glad to say that his year 2 statistics in that 2018-2019 season is probably what got the attention of George McPhee, is what probably got his name picked by Kelly McCrimmon, Bill Foley, and the Vegas Golden Knights heading into the 2019 offseason. Because his 2018-2019 stats in the regular season, he had 20 goals, 36 points, 90 penalty minutes in 74 games. But we're not done there. Because Keegan Kolesar in that 2018-2019 season, they made it to the playoffs that year in Chicago As a matter of fact, they went pretty far in the Calder Cup playoffs that year. So in 21 playoff games, Keegan Kolesar had 6 goals, 11 points, and 48 penalty minutes in the Calder Cup playoffs. So in that one season, his second season playing professional hockey, he established 2 points for the Vegas Golden Knights. Not only did he play 95 games, including the regular season and playoffs, but he had over 25 goals. He had around 50 points, and he racked up nearly 140 penalty minutes in an entire AHL season, regular and playoffs combined. So he established that he could put the puck in the back of the net and that he could drop the gloves, and he is someone who could be physical and bring a little bit of toughness to the Vegas Golden Knights. So, entering year 3 of his professional career with the Vegas Golden Knights, Keegan Kolesar, unfortunately, ended up being in a situation that a lot of AHL players end up being at some point in their career, where they are in the limbo of being in the NHL and being in the AHL. Or in other words, there will be some nights where they will be a healthy scratch in the NHL. They're not playing, but they're on an NHL roster. And then there'll be other nights where they will be in the starting lineup in the AHL. So that's actually what happened to Keegan Kolesar in their 2020-2021 season leading up to it. So he had 18 points in 33 AHL games and only appeared in 1 NHL game that year for the Vegas Golden Knights. So only playing in 34 games, you would assume that he had a massive injury. You would assume that something happened to Keegan Kolesar that year. Well, all you have to do is look at his transaction history to find out what happened. In the 2019 season just alone, he was sent up and he was sent down 8 different times that year. So to really bring that point home, yeah, Keegan Kolesar was in that limbo of being in the NHL and being in the AHL because, like I said, he was sent up and was sent down 8 times that year with the Vegas Golden Knights. So no, he wasn't injured. He didn't have any injury. What happened was, simply put, he just was in limbo. He was in a weird situation with the Vegas Golden Knights. So here was his final stats in the AHL for the Chicago Wolves. He has never played a game for the Henderson Silver Knights. I want to clarify that. So Keegan Kolesar had a really good career in the AHL. All right, his 3 professional seasons playing in AAA hockey, he had a good stat line. I mean, this is a guy who played in 24 AHL playoff games and had 7 goals. So essentially, he had a goal in every 3.5 games in the AHL playoffs. So Keegan Kolesar, after 2020, was a full-time NHL player on the Vegas Golden Knights. In the 2020-2021 campaign, which once again was only shortened to 56 games, he played 44 games in the regular season, had 3 goals, 13 points, and a 30 penalty minutes. And then he played in the entire 17 playoff games for the Vegas Golden Knights when they made it to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the Montreal Canadiens. He played 17 of the 18 playoff games that year and ended up with 1 goal, 4 points in 17 games. Year 2, he is in 77 of the 82 games that year, had his best performance as an NHL hockey player with 7 goals, 17 assists, 24 points, and a 68 penalty minutes, led the team in penalty minutes that year, in 77 games. Unfortunately, they did not make the playoffs that year, so there was nothing to report on that end. The problem with Keegan Kolesar, or the situation with Keegan Kolesar, it presents itself with this stat line right here. Keegan Kolesar officially has gotten past 150 games played as a NHLer, which I will say, by the way, is 158 games more than I or you have played in the NHL. It's a terrific accomplishment. But only 13 goals, 41 points, a negative 10 plus minus, and 129 penalties. So with Team Kolesar, unfortunately, the situation has now become, where is his career going to go? Because he is 25 years old, 4 years into, he is not scoring goals at the level that he was in the 80s. I mean, I pointed out the fact that Team Kolesar, he scored 28 goals in 3 seasons in the 80s. He has only scored 13 goals in 4 seasons in the 80s. This is a guy in Team Kolesar who scored 67 points in the AHL in 3 seasons. He's only scored 41 points in 4 seasons in the NHL. So the one aspect of his game that looked promising in the minors has not transitioned as greatly as it was going to in the NHL. He has not scored as many points as it looked like he was going to as he did in Chicago. He is not scoring goals at 20, 25 goals a year like he was in Seattle playing in the WHL. And when it came to penalty minutes, he's actually not putting up record penalty minutes like it looked like in the AHL. I mentioned that 2018-2019 season for a reason. The fact that he had 138 penalty minutes in one season, he actually had more penalty minutes in that one season in Chicago than he has had in all 4 years in the NHL. So with Keegan Kolesar, what is his role with the Vegas Golden Knights? Is it his offensive presence? Well, once again, 13 goals. Is it his penalty minutes? Well, so far in the 2022-2023 season, only 31 penalty minutes, which, yes, does lead the team in penalty minutes, but, that's not a lot. Like, when you compare the NHL stats right now, I mean, as a matter of fact, I actually have the stats right in front of me. He is not even in the top 10 in penalty minutes in the NHL. I mean, there are guys right now in hockey who are already at the 70 penalty minute mark in the NHL. I mean, you have Nick DeSalaires, Matthew Tkachuk, Brandon Montour. I mean, there are guys that are well over 50 penalty minutes in the NHL. In fact, he's not even in the top 50 in penalty minutes. So with Keegan Kolesar, it's really a situation, unfortunately, where his role, he is not racking up insane penalty minutes. He is not collecting 20 to 25 goals a year. Like I said, his career high was 7, and that was in the 2021-2022 season. So if you are watching Keegan Kolesar, as I am right now, I mean, his stat line in the NHL, even if you go into advanced analytics, I mean, his analytics really shows you an interesting story. So his analytics, he has had only, I mean, this is a guy who, in terms of penalty minutes, he is only averaging, around, he's not even averaging a penalty minute per game. He's not averaging 2 penalty minutes per game. That's not what he's doing. His ice time has actually been 11 minutes and 30 seconds per game. Actually went down nearly an entire minute from his time on ice last year. And when it comes to game-winning goals, or when it comes to power play goals, he has actually not had any of those this year. He had 1 power play goal last year, but he did not have any this year. So when it comes to Keegan Kolesar, what is his role? What's the entire point of this video? Well, I really want to establish one reason why Keegan Kolesar is on the Vegas Golden Knights. And that is the fact that Keegan Kolesar is a consistent and reliable player on the bottom 6. In the NHL, I have noticed a theme in the NHL that if you are someone who is reliable, if you are someone who can play almost every game every single night, if you're someone who on average can play 77, 78, 79 games per year, and you can be on the ice and you can provide ice time in the NHL, they will find a way to keep you. And like I mentioned, Keegan Kolesar has played all but 2 games this year. He has played 36 of 38 games so far in the NHL. So when it comes to that, that's a situation where, you have Keegan Kolesar, he's reliable. He is someone who's going to get you, X amount of games every single year. Let me give you a comparison to Vegas Golden Knights fans to kind of bring this home. Tomas Nosek is reliable. There's a reason why Tomas Nosek has been on the bottom 6 out there in Detroit. He was a bottom 6 forward here in Vegas, and he is currently a bottom 6 forward on the best hockey team in the NHL right now, and that's the Boston Bruins, because he is a consistent player. He will be on the ice game in and game out. You're not going to have to worry about is he going to be out for a certain amount of time. You don't have to worry about is he going to be is he going to be an 82 game player. I would give you another example. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare has been a constant in the NHL for almost a decade now. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare is a player that you will have game in and game out. And that contract extension by the Vegas Golden Knights, where he signed that 3-year deal worth $4.2 million. They did that. I mean, by they, I mean Kelly McCrimmon did that because of the fact that Keegan Kolesar, he is a player who you will have game in and game out. I have heard but because of doing radio, doing sports, doing doing all of the skills I have done over a decade, I have learned that when it comes it is not your best that determines your a lot of times it's your night best that determines if you're in baseball, it's not always about your superstar that's gonna give you a win. No, it is about who is your night best player on your team that's gonna determine who you win championships. In basketball, it's not always about who is your superstar and how he's gonna win your NBA finals. No, it's about that player on your bench that's gonna play a few minutes every night. How many buckets, how many points is he gonna get you that can be different from a first round exit and winning an NBA championship? In the NFL, yeah, your superstar quarterback is excellent and that's great to watch. But a lot of times in the NFL, it's about your offensive lineman and can he be there 17 games a year and will he be there every single snap and will he protect your quarterback? On defense, it's not always about your Mike. It's not always about your edge rusher coming off the edge getting to the quarterback. Sometimes it's about your slot corner and can he go up and be in the game 95% of the snaps? Is he going to be someone that you can rely on to be there in the playoffs? And it's similar to the NHL, to get to my point here, my analogy. With the NHL, it's not always about your first line superstar that's going to win you a championship. No, and a lot of times we saw it the Colorado Avalanche, Tampa Bay Lightning as of late. It's about your fourth line and what your fourth line provides that could win you a championship. We have seen a third line defenseman, your bottom line. Now you have two defensemen that can play all 18 games and be there for 20 plus playoff games in the NHL. Sometimes it's about your goalie. Your goalie can you have two goalies who are in sync and two goalies who do their job night in and night out, that is sometimes better than having a top five goalie. Shout out to the Boston Bruins. The point I'm making is that the role Keegan Kolesar has is that he is a reliable, consistent, fourth-line winger that will be in the game in and game out. His production is what has made him a valuable member of the Vegas Golden Knights. Him not missing a portion of the season, him not being out of the lineup for 30, 40, 50 games a year is what brings value to the Vegas Golden Knights. That is his role with the Vegas Golden Knights. The fact that he is a player that you are going to have day after day after day. In the practice sessions, he is not going to be someone that's going to skip out on practice sessions multiple times a year. No, in fact, a lot of times you'll see these fourth line guys, they will be at every single practice session and they will treat those practice sessions like it's an opportunity. I've noticed that when it comes to young guys, people who are in their early 20s to mid 20s, they're almost at every practice session when I go to City National. If I ever get the chance to go to Lifeguard Arena and you see the Henderson Silver Knights and all the people out there, I've noticed that the young guys, the unproven, the unpolished guys in the AHL, they're some of the hardest working players I have seen in hockey when it comes to practice sessions. Why is that? Because when you are a third line, when you're a fourth line guy, you know that despite how big your contract is, or despite how long your contract is, it is not a guarantee. There is no absolute that you are going to be playing next week. So that's why those guys work twice as hard. So when it comes to Keegan Kolesar and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare and Tomas Nosek, those are players that I exceptionally watch because they provide a certain type of mentality you want on your fourth line. And as an added bonus, they are good to have in the locker room as well. Keegan Kolesar is a player that I've noticed that if you watch him in interviews and you watch the locker room interviews, he is good to have. He's smiling, he's laughing. You do the behind the scenes of the Vegas Golden Knights. He's always cracking jokes. You see him, out there in the locker room talking to teammates. And that's what you have to have a lot in hockey. If someone's good in terms of morale in a locker room, that will also keep you around longer than if you're a nuisance, if you're causing problems, if you're a disturbance. They're going to keep you around if you're someone who's good in a locker room type of mentality. So this was another great episode of Vegas Hockey Hub, talking about Keegan Kolesar and what his role is with the Vegas Golden Knights. And his role is that he is reliable and he is consistent to the Vegas Golden Knights. He is someone who's not going to miss many games, and he is a player that the Vegas Golden Knights can expect to be on the ice day after day after day. So we do shows every single night, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on Vegas Hockey Hub on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. We are broadcasted out in Las Vegas, Nevada, the sports entertainment capital of the world, soon to be the Vegas hub of the world. And when it comes to this show, I will say once again, continue supporting junior hockey. Go watch hockey all over Las Vegas, regardless if it's the Golden Knights, Silver Knights, UNLV Rebels, Las Vegas Thunderbirds, you name it. Go support Vegas hockey. Go Knights, go, and have a good one.